And Adam, there's some pretty stunning news that just broke moments ago. I'll let you share it with our viewers.
Well, Scott, the 49ers listed their inactives moments ago, and 49ers standout running back Christian McCaffrey is out tonight. He's not going to be active. Came out, did not feel right with the calf, the Achilles. It's been an issue. He was limited in practice last week. The 49ers listed him as questionable. They thought he was going to be able to play. He expressed confidence that he was going to be able to play. People thought it would be a full workload for Christian McCaffrey, but today it just didn't feel right. And so tonight, in the first game of the season, Christian McCaffrey is inactive, and I would expect Jordan Mason to replace him in the starting lineup and to absorb all the carries that Christian McCaffrey would have gotten that he now won't. He is inactive tonight. We'll see whether he can go in week 2, Scott.
Adam, thank you very much.
Wow.
In business, it's called a rundown. You plan everything you're going to talk about. That takes a lot of the rundown and changes things pretty drastically. I mean, RC, I'll start with you. How drastically does this change just tonight?
Listen, I don't care if it's George Mason, Anthony Mason, a Mason jar. They ain't Christian McCaffrey. And this team relies on him so heavily, both in the run game and the pass game. Even from Kyle Shanahan, having an opportunity to scheme up certain things by formation, Christian McCaffrey is a huge cog in what makes this entire offense go. And you're already thinking of having a guy like Brandon Ayuk who may have limited reps and limited snaps. And now you lose the offensive player of the year. This is huge, especially if you were expecting to have him and then something popped up today that took him out of the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. He does so much. He's a receiver, he's a running back, he's all over the place, and he's a playmaker. I mean, this is a huge loss for the 49ers in tonight's game. But I do think if he is feeling it, it's the right move.
Yeah.
This injury in particular, calf injury, they can linger for long periods of time. They can move into more severe injuries like Achilles and things like that. So if he is struggling that much, I think it's the right move.
When I hear calf and Achilles, it's hard not to think about Kevin Durant years ago in the playoffs when he had the calf injury, and then what happened. Ultimately, it was an Achilles, and obviously it's different. But as you just allude to, you can't mess with it, man. It's a 17-game season, and if he doesn't feel right, he doesn't feel right. But, I mean, Swag, when you find this out an hour before kick,
if I'm
trying to change
what's
your
the
pick.
ESPN bet app?
If I'm Robert Salah, I'm going back to that defensive call sheet, and I'm adding some more pressures. I need to get this blitz back in here, this blitz back in here. I talked about the matchup before the game with Quincy Williams and C.J. Mosley. I thought it really was going to come down to them in space with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. This is the Yak Kings of the NFL.
For sure.
Throw a 5-yard route, and they'll take it 50, they'll take it 80, and keep the chains moving. It also makes me feel good about my over with George Kittle more so now, because he's going to have to be really impactful, especially in that space in middle of the field area that Christian usually dominates.
And I'm interested.
Also, too,
go ahead.
there are certain things that you do throughout the week from a game plan standpoint where you were preparing for Christian McCaffrey as well. Like, you might not necessarily have some of the things in the game plan to take advantage of his absence. And so Robert Salah is going to have to be talking about those things as well to his defense.
That's just what I was going to ask. This is the type of thing where, as Adam has alluded to, he's been limited in practice, but I think and preseason's become such a very different thing. Largely, stars don't play, and if you're battling an injury of some sort, we just presume you'll be there for week 1. But in this case, if you're in that Niner locker room, you had to have known that this was at least an outside possibility. So your game plan probably has let's hope we got 23, and if we don't, this is what we'll do. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, you definitely want to plan that way. And I guess Jason could speak to this more, but it does change up not only the offensive philosophy, but it changes up the way that offensive linemen block. It changes the way that you run routes from a timing standpoint if Christian McCaffrey was supposed to be involved in the route combination. So hopefully, if it got to this point where he is unable to play, they've practiced a lot without him throughout the week. But from a quarterback and play caller standpoint, this is a huge loss.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there are so many design things in the game because of his ability to do a lot, right?
Yeah.
He can be in the backfield, come out wide, and be a receiver. And he's not only is he out there, he's dynamic out there. Yeah. And I think that this is going to limit probably some of the really
exotic
looks that Shanahan has come into this game with. But they probably did have something in place in case this happens. But I do think, this offense is so predicated on establishing the run. Everything works on the run working. And then all the misdirection, all the play actions, that opens it all up. And if that isn't there today, it just makes it hard. It makes it really hard for this offense.
RC and JK just hit a great point. I think, I want people at home to think about it like this. You got certain individuals within offenses and defenses that change you conceptually. Yep. It's not like a player can come out here and be Christian McCaffrey, right? These dudes are talented. They're pros. But from an offensive conception-wise, with Kyle Shanahan, like you said, designing, and like you said, RC, now you have to change the way you're going to go about playing the game. Yeah. It's not so let's take an example. If Deebo Samuel's not playing, but you got a reliable receiver that you feel like we can put him in that role and we don't have to change who we are as an offense in order to still do the same things. Christian McCaffrey is that guy. You got to change conceptually a little bit of what your plan was.
Well, the other piece of it is, too, the same play ain't the same play no more.
Yes.
Right? You do all the sports, Scott, right? You come on TV late at night, you got all the sports. So during basketball season, Steve Kerr ain't figured out no new plays for three-pointers. The one that Steph Curry is shooting, that play, they've been running that play forever.
Yeah.
Number 30 is a different shooter than someone who does not wear number 30.
That's the same thing Christian McCaffrey. That angle route is different, right? That run is different. So I think that's a huge piece of it.
Well, and the NFL has become, and we see it all across the league, and it works very well for many different teams. You have a back that's your one, and you've got a complementary back. There are so many by committee backfields, and it's because guys can complement the back. This is one of the true bell cows in this league, and to the points all of you are making, not just in the pass game, or the run game, I beg your pardon, but in the pass game as well.
And he compliment himself.
Yeah.
He the steak, the potatoes,
don't worry about
spinach.